Shalom, shalom, giving honor and praise to the Most High, the Creator and the Maker of heaven and earth. My name is Yeshaya Yisrael. This is an opening for the teaching that's going to be on the same channel at 8:30. The time right now is 10 minutes to 8. It's 7:50, the 24th of August, 2018. And I'm doing this particular opening because this teaching that's going to be at 8:30 on this same particular channel, please subscribe to the channel, all right, will be in PowerPoint form. It's going to go over the history, the different forms of it, what is a verb, what is a noun, the rules of the language, the masculine, the feminine, the plural, the singular, the aspect of ancient scarabs showing Hebrew, ancient writings showing Hebrew before the era of Herod. All of these different things is going to be discussed. And then in concluding it, in like an appendix kind of form kind of thing, going to explain why we speak the Hebrew in the way in which we speak it. Why do we say shalom as opposed to, no offense intended, shalom? Why is this particular teaching being presented is because a lot of, and I say this in no disrespect, a lot of misinformation has been circulating saying that the Hebrew that is being taught, not to be haughty, that the Hebrew that I teach is not real Hebrew, quote unquote, and that is Yiddish. So as a more or as a teacher or as a brother or as an ak in this particular thing, it's incumbent upon me to explain why we teach the way we teach and what we teach. It's only fair to the people who take the time to listen on why we say such. One thing, brothers and sisters, that I personally decided to do is I refuse to argue in English about Hebrew. I'm not doing that. You don't find people arguing, say, in Polish about Russian. So why will I argue in English about Hebrew? I'm not going to do it. I'm going to just do the presentation. You understand? And for those who like it, okay. Those who may not like it, okay. There may some who agree. There's some who may disagree with the findings and so forth. You understand? For those who've been following along in the channel, you already are aware that I do not promote or teach what is commonly referred to as Lashawan Kwadash. You understand? And that is to say, that is the Hebrew, correct me if I'm wrong, in the understanding that many people are saying is the ancient form. Brothers and sisters, that's not ancient Hebrew. And I want to emphasize what ancient Hebrew is when we get into the presentation that will be at 8:30 upon this particular channel. Modern Hebrew, brothers and sisters, will be expounded upon too. All right? Modern Hebrew is not Yiddish. Yiddish is not Hebrew letters with vowel points. All right? So this is something we want to point out for edification purposes. Give me 1 second. The Hebrew you see here is not Yiddish. You cannot, at the same token as stated on this particular channel, Hebrew lesson number 2, you cannot insult or belittle this writing that you see right here, all right? And then at the same token, turn around and uphold this here. Because this translation came from those who were reading and applying this. Now, and I say this in no disrespect, if Hebrew is said to only be sounding with ah, and when you see an ayin, you say it as I, and so forth and so on. If that were the case, if that were the situation, and the King James version of the Bible is written by many who say that King James himself was an Israelite, How then, if Hebrew didn't have vowels, how do you see in the King James Version Hebrew transliterations that have vowels, such as that Beathar? How does that happen? You understand? Such as Shalomit. How do you see that? Inside the King James Version, you would see if the Lashawan Kwadas was the ancient Hebrew and King James was an Israelite, you would see if he applied what is said as ancient Hebrew to be said as Shalama, as opposed to Solomon, coming from the understanding of Shalomo. You would see the Wad or the Wada and not David from an understanding coming from Dawid. You understand? You would see it there as Yashra Allah as opposed to Yisrael transliterated as Israel. You don't see that inside the King James Version. So the people who, and I say this as stated in no disrespect, but it has to be pointed out, brothers and sisters, because when one is saying, brothers and sisters, that the Hebrew that you would see here in like the Stone Edition Tanakh, as we see here, when people are saying that this is Yiddish, I want to emphasize, and it's not about how other nations or people look at us, but you make Israelites look ignorant. All right. You make Israelites look like we don't know anything about linguistics and about understanding aspects of speech and written. The difference, brothers and sisters, between a written language and a spoken language. The fact that all languages, brothers and sisters, are spoken before it is actually written. So therefore, you cannot understand a language solely by looking at it. I want to emphasize that when we get into this presentation at 8:30 on this channel, Eastern Standard Time, that there are no intentional or indirect shots made at anybody. However, the teaching of saying that quote unquote modern Hebrew is Yiddish and that the word shalom is Yiddish and that the said ancient is shalom, we got to sit there and present our case once it comes down to that particular aspect. So with that, shalom.